Well, thank you, Hank, and hello, everyone. I've been asked to say a few words about the culture network of the Convention on Wetlands, the Ramsar Convention, and specifically to respond to your task force's mission statement and statement of significance on the proposed International Scientific Committee. The Ramsar Convention on Wetlands was the first of the modern environmental conventions adopted by governments at a global level. Obviously, the focus is on wetland ecosystems, but in a way, you could think of Ramsar as a water convention. There's only two other global treaties on water, and they only deal with transboundary waters. So for everything else, in a way, it's often Ramsar filling the gap. The focus on wetlands is really a focus on water in its ecological context, and a context of water catchments at a landscape scale. Right from the original treaty text that was drafted in the 1960s, there was a reference to the importance of wetlands for human culture. And in the several hundred resolutions adopted on policy principles and good practice standards by the Ramsar parties over the years, there are three particular ones that set out an agenda on culture and wetlands, and another one on indigenous peoples and local communities. There's a recognition in this that wetlands shape human societies and human societies shape wetlands. Governments under Ramsar have an obligation to maintain the so-called ecosystem services of wetlands. And that includes intangible values like spiritual development, sense of identity, knowledge, and aesthetic experience, as well as the tangible ones like food and building materials and flood protection. The cultural values can also play a role in maintaining the ecological character of wetlands. For example, where you've got religious taboos protecting wildlife from overexploitation, customary regimes for apportioning water rights, or traditional knowledge about sustainable irrigation methods helping to maintain the ecosystem. The Ramsar Culture Network is a community of interested organizations and individuals all around the world who have worked together since 2006 on this aspect of the convention's agenda. It's not funded by the convention and it operates on a purely voluntary basis. But over the years, it's produced things like conference events, policy developments, guidance documents, and various knowledge exchange projects with useful case studies, tools, and reports that you can find on the network's webpage, hosted by Wetland Link International. So from this perspective, there's lots of things to support in the task force's two statements. We can welcome the aim of having a stronger international platform for interacting, bringing in traditional wisdom, developing methods, policies, and regimes of management, and so on. And we ourselves can join with that effort. The statement says that heritage is about things that are valued by communities. I'd suggest it's just as important to say that it's about things that persist over time, whether that's traditions, cultural artifacts, or landscapes and ecosystems. And that's obviously what links this to any agenda for valuing resilience and sustainability, whatever those things might mean. And that leads to my other main observation, which is about the framing of this as cultural heritage. I understand the reasons for that, but water heritage is natural heritage as well. And I think there's an opportunity here for the committee to be an example of the more integrated approach that will help to counteract the very segmented way that some of our institutions and policy systems tend to deal with cultural heritage and natural heritage as separate things. So if you're looking at why a given place is significant, for example, it's often that interaction between the natural and cultural that produces the significance that we value. In terms of heritage for the future, traditional ecological knowledge is one key ingredient in understanding how to work with the grain of the natural environment in adapting to increased water stress and land degradation. But also understanding what the ecosystem itself can tell us about how it's behaved in the past, how much change it can or can't tolerate, and the connectedness between its different processes. That's all part of the natural heritage that can give the key to nature-based solutions for managing floods and droughts, food security, tourism economies, and the contribution that water environments make to people's health. Finally, then, to comment on future cooperation, I think we've all got the same interest in continuing to document case studies, so that's a good area to join together on. It looks like Ramsar's existing guidelines on values assessment, management effectiveness, and so on are going to be very relevant. And in terms of your suggestions about groups and committees at national level, we should probably be looking at mapping out connections to the national Ramsar committees and appointed focal points and so on to make sure that we get the best synergy between all these things. So I'll stop there, but I look forward to seeing how everything unfolds. Thank you very much.